Well, let me move your I notice in my Zoom videos, my eyes are like that because your all's pictures are up in the corner. So I can drag and drop you to the middle. There we go. There's Karen, my little core group.
Or group.
Hi, dear. Alright.
Alright.
So,
There's some feedback when you talk.
Really?
I'm getting an echo. Is anybody else?
Okay.
No.
They're not.
I'll try to adjust it here. Sorry.
Okay. If you need to pop on and off and back on, that's fine too.
Okay.
Okay. I guess if I was going to have a topic, it would be how to keep the mind relaxed when the felt sense is freaking out. That's the topic today. And very experiential in my own experience. And I really think as beliefs start to be challenged and what I see is a hierarchy of beliefs. And, first I have the belief that I'm not going to get the job next week and my life is going to be over. That's kind of those category of beliefs up here. And they keep getting, then we start get to the limited beliefs of I'm unworthy, I'm not enough, all those are on the next layer. And then what's that? What's that? And then seeing through that, ooh, that's a mental construct. Ooh, yeah. Okay, there's only only this. And then we get down to I'm separate, which means I'm a body. That's what I am. And then the fundamental belief, I think that drives all behavior, and you can fact check that, but in your own experience, but when I fact check that, the base belief is I'm not safe. I'm a body and I'm not safe. And everything, all the desire for love, all the desire for affection, all the desire for anything that's going to bring comfort. Why? Because discomfort is perceived as a dangerous thing by the thinking mind. So we really have to dip when so the deconstruction of the sense of the separate self, what is it made of? It's made of thinking, beliefs. It's made of a belief system and corresponding contractions based on the and I think what happens, this has been my observation, is the stronger the clench, the bigger the lie. The stronger the clench, the more it's been repeated. Because what turns a regular thought into a belief? When I look at it, it's repetition, attention, because attention loves movement, tension, tension. So the separate self is made, the sense of the separate self is made of attention and tension. It's the same. It's one and the same. So we start poking holes in this belief in this separate object. Questioning continuity, questioning thoughts, allowing sensation. We start poking around in there And all of a sudden, it starts to dawn on us that it was a false sense of self. When that starts to dawn and curiosity outweighs the desire to get rid of something, I guess get ready for somatic to hit the fan. Because it's going to have an unwinding. It's going to have to lose its shape. And it seems like the more repetition and the more untrue it is, the tighter the clench, the more solid and believable that sense of self became, and the more painful it is to have it dissolve. That's what makes sense over here in my experience. And then some people, they just have they didn't have enough trauma to build, not only do we have the trauma clench, we have the false self over that. The whole persona built over that. So there's layers. No, I'm okay. I'm happy go lucky. For the longest time, I this in this experience, there was a horrific eating disorder that lasted 14 years. At the height, throwing up 10 times a day. 10 times a day. Not a soul knew. That's how sneaky it was. Because there was a persona on top. Happy, together, funny, creative, charismatic, dying inside. Because I didn't want anybody to know the quote, real me. Which is simply a survival strategy. All of them are to stay safe. So originally, I know I say this all the time, but it really bears repeating. Originally, it was the physical structure that went through whatever it went through. And if it was in an environment of chaos, cruelty, overwhelm, abuse, any of that stuff, especially on an ongoing basis, in order to make sense of it, the meaning-making mechanism, whatever that is, words, the meaning-making mechanism says that is happening. Because if I said it's happening because, it's happening because of my caretakers, they're doing something bad. I can't trust them. How am I going to survive? So the meaning-making mechanism cannot place blame over there. And it looks around trying to make meaning of what's happening, and it can't find anything to place the meaning on that's safe. So where does it do? It turns it inward and creates the sense of self out of thinking that says, I'm not enough. I'm not lovable. This is happening because I'm not lovable. This is happening because I'm not enough. Oh, I have to be perfect. Right? And then so this adaptive strategy comes on top of that. None of it was true. It's just how the mechanism made sense of it. And because we were taught to body identify, we say, it's true, it's me, it's true. And we walk around for how many decades? You know, we may do personal work and get off that persona, but then there's the next one, right? Ooh, the despicable one. Ooh, the one that nobody wants to see. Ooh, the bad one. Got to dig underneath that. Recognize it was just all done to make sense of what it couldn't understand. Why is somebody treating me like that? I'm wide open. How? We don't have the capacity to go, oh, they were just projecting their own misery onto me. Oh, they were telling me what I wasn't, and I believed it because I didn't know anything else. I didn't have the ability to think. And so when the beliefs are questioned and the mind starts to relax a little bit, slow down, and we get to look at the moment from our original design in the absence of thought, right? Because if thoughts slow down, we can look through the gaps. When they speed up, then we become whatever we think we are. We take shape. Ah! My roof has damage, whatever. Ah! And that person takes shape. And how am I going to do this? And what am I going to do? And am I going to have enough money? What's going to happen in the future? And attention goes. And it forgets that it doesn't have the capacity to, it has the capacity to create a lot of problems, but it doesn't have the capacity to solve them. We think it does. I call it the faulty GPS. It's the GPS of a frightened 4-year-old. How do I make sense? How am I going to say what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Because that's the way it felt. And then we think that's us. So we've collapsed into the shape of a distressed child. And from that perspective, bless its little trying to make sense heart, it is inadequate. Not as a being, as a problem solver. Because it's all fear-based, it's all future-based, it's not even here. And when everything speeds up, there's chaos. And have you ever been able to make a good decision when the body-mind is in chaos? No. It's you can't have any, I mean, where do answers come from? They come from silence. They always arise now, right? But if we're so busy in the future trying to figure it out based on a past thing, we're going past, future, past, future, past, future, blah, 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 skipping over the now. Which is where adult, sane answers for the highest good of all are found. They're not found in a hypothetical future of what ifs. Based on past. So that young, frenetic identity structure has no business trying to figure things out. And yet we listen. Why? Because it's fast and attention loves fast. And it's habituated because it's all we ever knew. That was our guidance system. It's a trauma-based guidance system. But we come to meetings like these and we start going, let me just take a look or a listen to what those thoughts are actually saying. Something terrible is going to happen. Oh, honey. How do you know that? It's because something terrible always did happen. Is it terrible now? In this moment? Wow. Well, maybe the next moment won't be so terrible. So we have to allow. It's almost like we have to bring the past and bring the future into the now so that we can see their thought patterns, their beliefs. Now we can go, oh my gosh, I don't actually know if it's going to be horrible. I actually don't know. All I know is I don't want to rely on a frenetic, chaotic, fearful thought system to figure this out. What do I want to rely on? Well-being. Where is that? Where is the only place that we can find well-being? Because the past is not here and the future is not here. And both of those don't, in my experience, exemplify well-being. Here. And I start landing here and the machine the identity machine starts to slow down because I can ask, well, wait, I can relax attention. And I say, wait, I've been paying attention to the sound of the voices here, like I have on headphones, because of the way listening is happening, shrunk. No longer hears the sounds of the birds, no longer sees the moment because it's focused on this world of how the hell am I going to work this out, figure this out? It's going to be awful. I have to solve every aspect of it that could go wrong based on that. So I've literally taken the world of the past, shoved it, crossed over this moment of now without even realizing it and carry it into a future, which seems more real. So I have to ask the magic question. What else is here? Ah, I'm watching that horror movie. Ah, blah, 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 blah. And after a while, the we used to never realize I didn't, this one didn't for 30 years. Had no idea. Had no idea this is the world that seemed real in every moment. No idea how to do that. No one ever said, "Oh, honey, it's over. What else is here? Come back, come back, come back." Had to had to learn that. That takes relaxing attention. So you can say, "Wait, wait, I'm listening to the soundtrack of the faulty GPS of the terrified child. That's not going to work. That's not going to solve this problem." So what I need to do? What other sounds are here? Ah, okay. How easy that is to relax the way listening is happening. Then we just land there. And then all of a sudden the thoughts become slower and they become part of the sound of the sound. Just like the sound of my voice and the sound of the helicopter in the distance and the sound of the birds. And it's a whole soundscape. It's called now. Now I can go one step further, but really listen. Any one of those sounds, they arise and disappear. Out of what? Silence. There it is. Now I've actually shifted out of the shape of the person who was controlling a future into that which is listening, the silence that is forever listening. That's how I came in prior to thought. So I returned to my essence, basically. Ah, then I can see, wow, that problem was just in the mind. And I can start to relax. And as I start to relax, I notice all the tension, the residual tension from being that persona, that incredibly young, worried, terrified persona. Which is the clench in the felt sense. Now, as I listen to what's here and the silence, I can see the body is part of the moment. I can really see what's happening. It still occurs as three-dimensional, but at least I, body, mind, is out of the trauma self. It's back into coherence. Now we have to let the residue be here. And this is not comfortable because it's a protective mechanism. It's habituated. It's a clenching against what is. So we have to, again, like a child that's been exposed to a horror movie, we take it out of that horror movie of the past and future, and we bring it into the body has to lift up, right? Body has to lift up and really see. It's okay. Oh, safe. And that momentum is not going to just fall away. It might clench even tighter. It might show up as aches and pains. Because it's like, I'm not safe, 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 I'm not safe. And in the moment we go, oh, honey, yes, you are. So there's this pull. This habituated pull in the felt sense. Now you can see, now the thoughts have slowed down. This story has lifted off. The terror part, that's the suffering, right? Now here's the clenching that those beliefs were attached to. So we're halfway there. The beliefs have relaxed. I'm able to see what's actually happening. Halfway there. Now, what we have to do is not let that sense of self satisfied in thoughts come back and say, ah, to the sensations. This is terrible. I don't want to feel that. Or if it does, we have to recognize what's happening. Back into, see, there's a me, there's a myself, there's a mental me. There's a mental me, which creates the sense of an emotional body. And then there's the physical body, whose thought systems weren't askew. It's where inspiration comes from. It's where alive conversations come from. That's unencumbered by that survival self. So, what we're feeling when it gets so uncomfortable, so electric, it's a very kind of different pain than straight physical pain. You know what I'm talking about? That's emotional residue experienced as sensation. It'll be experienced as emotion if the story comes back and velcros to it. But when that story lifts off, it's just sensation. It's energy. It's contraction in the field, in the sensory field. And we have, because of body of identification, created, say, no, it's in this physical container. But let's close our eyes in this moment. In the absence, now I want you to hear the sounds. That'll make the thoughts slow down. Hear the sound, whole soundscape. Even the sound of, if there is a voice of thought, just included in the soundscape. Now really land there. And then you can hear the silence that the sounds are coming out of, disappearing back into. Just use one sound, like the sound of this voice. There it is when it stops. All sounds are coming out of it. Okay, that's safe. Is there anything not safe here? Okay. See the darkness. There's nothing on the mind's eye in the absence of thought. All is well. Now just check out in your experience. Does this felt sense, does this experience of energy or vibration, sensation, whatever word is most appropriate in your direct experience, does it have a shape? Now, be really, really attuned, because a slight image of a body or a body part might sneak its way on the mind's eye. Not even it could just be a hint. Doesn't even have to be a full-blown image, or it might come across as a word. Ah, groin. Ah, neck. But rest as the silence and the space that those things are coming out of and disappearing. And as soon as they disappear, you look again. We're looking in between the labels, in between the images. Does it have a shape? Infants are not body identified. We had to learn we were a body by the naming of a sensation. So is it possible to be the noticing of any image, of any sound, of any words, and the sensation? And is it possible to notice that wherever there's a sound, wherever there's a sensation, wherever there's an image, the noticing of it is also present? And is that noticing the ability to be right there with what's arising? Is that affected by anything that's arising? Does it move? Is it afraid of sensation? Does it have a shape? Now, keeping attention on noticing itself, is it possible to invite the tension that created the sense of selves, even the outline of the body? Invite anything that wants to unwind. Doesn't have to be an invitation in words. It's just, as the noticing, there's a willingness. There's a complete allowance. And the more noticing is noticed, the more that can be seen. I got kicked out for a moment and I'm back. So it's the softest. It's just like what you yearned for as this body mind as a child. How would you have liked to be?
This happened the other day. I think her machine got too hot. She went inside. Oh, Lou, is it because your machine is too hot? Remember it happened the
Yeah, but
other
it's
day?
not today. It's not. I don't know why. I've got all my bars and anyway, weird. Just notice how that shifted, that when the call dropped, it came back on. Did the energy take shape again? Just let these energies, even the body identification, who cares? Let all clenching lose its shape. It's not necessary. In the softest, gentlest invitation. You don't have to relax. You don't have to do it on any terms. But look how safe this moment is. It's okay. You ever notice that rushing creates so much tension and it doesn't get us there any faster? It's the same thing with focusing the way we're looking, or focusing or listening really hard, or bracing. It's never necessary. It's actually counterproductive. the body will, in this virtual reality, it will clench because when it's appropriate to hold the pencil, if a ball is flying, it will do its job. The emotional tension is not necessary. The bracing against someone talking, just sound. If we don't brace, it moves through because it's open. There's spaces like fabric. We pull that fabric tight, the tightest weave ever. What's going to get through? Yeah, that's the binding. We let go, we relax. Things can pass through the holes. So it's a constant invitation of, in this moment, can anything that can relax, relax. That wants to relax. Things aren't naturally atrophied like that. Everything's looking to relax. Course in Miracles says our salvation, my salvation lies in my defenselessness. Got a plane going over. Yeah, just relaxing again and again. Whatever attention arises, see the real container, which is the moment, right? Not this imagined container of a knee or a back or a body or a me. Just like, that container hurts. Oh, I'm gonna give him more room, more space. You know, it's like those rescued animals who have been in cages and confinement. It's just like that. And then they go to a sanctuary. They don't just hop right out of the truck. Woohoo! They're like, oh. And then little by little, that tension starts to relax. It takes dogs, man, like three months to really shake off and feel. And dogs don't even think. You can imagine how long it takes these creatures. So we got to give ourselves a break, which is difficult because the mind doesn't like to, freaks out of being uncomfortable. It's okay, honey. Relax. I know you're trying to just protect. It's not necessary. Look, 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 look. You know where answers come from. Where do these thoughts come from? Where does this voice come from? Silence? Where does a song, if you're a songwriter, come from? Where do those moments of inspiration come from? They don't repeat themselves. Only the survival mechanism repeats itself. So the me relaxes. The false sense of self as mental construct relaxes. And there's the other half. The myself, me and myself. Now myself needs to unwind without the me getting in there, freaking out. No time like the present. All right, I think that's enough yakking.